Because what our aim is to produce the highest level Qigong course available to people, full stop.
Now, this isn't just a learn one style of Qigong course. This is create a really powerful foundation to teach from and choose your specializations so that you can become a really well-rounded teacher.
We don't want people to be carbon copies of John and I, a Qigong teacher. Everybody brings something of their own. So when you start to become a Qigong teacher, we want you to become that unique Qigong teacher. And that puts you uniquely into the marketplace as you. There's no one else like you. Yeah.
You can dip into other perspectives. You can dip into other strands that exist around Qigong and use that to really enrich your teaching. Different audiences need different information, and having a really good toolbox to teach with is the most important thing, and that's what we offer, a really good toolbox.
I think it's fair to say that there is a huge gap in the market of teacher training, and that both of us have been teaching now for like 20 years or so, and we've wanted to bring about a high quality Qigong teacher training that not just had the foundations of Qigong training in there, yeah, but looked at a whole array of setting up a class, yeah. How do you go through actually teaching a class? What are the qualities of a good teacher? Yeah, rather than think about Qigong as, right, you've been practicing Qigong for a while now, you've practiced Qigong, and you want to now teach Qigong. And like what happens actually is a lot of teachers or practitioners of Qigong, they get to their first class and they're like, I've never actually been taught how to teach. I'm a really good Qigong practitioner, but I've got no idea, yeah, how to structure a class, how to work with the different demands, the different questions, yeah, different levels. They've forgotten actually that they didn't learn how to teach. So what we've wanted to do is actually bring about a high quality teacher training course that covers all the important parts of Qigong, but gives you all those extra stepping stones in order to be a successful Qigong teacher.
Prior to the Qigong Academy, I'd set up something called Three Monkeys Qigong with a couple of other friends and Qigong practitioners. And what we were finding was increasingly that the teacher training that was occurring in China was giving great levels of Kung Fu, great levels of ability to the people, great levels of understanding, but not giving them the tools in order to teach it to a Western audience. And so we found that more and more the Three Monkeys training was about how to work with the Western audience. The wonderful thing about working with Tim is that we're now no longer limited to just doing one style of Qigong. My preference is Jineng Qigong and Tim's is Shaolin Cosmos Qigong. And actually, you then start to, when you look at these two systems, you then start to understand what are the foundational aspects that are important for all Qigong when we teach in the West. How much do we need to understand Chinese philosophy, Chinese medicine? How much do we need to understand culture? And how much does that then play into the way that we teach in a Western environment? And it's a really rich place to explore, and we can develop some amazing techniques. The thing that I think becomes really interesting here is that the core skills that we're talking about, the foundational skills that we're talking about, aren't specific to a particular type of Qigong. And this is why we've split the training out. We've got this foundational training, this core training, which is how do you develop your practice? How do you learn the teaching practices? How do you learn to teach effectively in a Western environment? And it doesn't matter what school of Qigong you've studied with. There are going to be common things that we can all do in order to become far more effective at teaching. And this is a lot of the focus that we bring into this foundational training, the core training. We also talk about how to set up classes, how to actually run as a self-employed person working as a Qigong teacher, but also spend time looking at the bits and pieces that aren't necessarily as clear through the various schools of Qigong that we've studied with around how it relates to Chinese culture. and how that's impacted it. So we can start to actually pull apart the practice from the perspective of, okay, this is something that speaks to the Chinese culture. How can we do it in a Western environment? So we're not destroying something. We're simply looking at it and going, right, how does this one work? How do we do it over here?
Right. So we're not reinventing the wheel,
No.
but the sort of people that are going to come to this Qigong teacher training as well, they might already be teaching Qigong. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, hey, I already teach Qigong, yeah, is this course suitable for me? And yes, yeah, because we're gonna go deeper into the Qigong as well, and across the board. So you're not limited to one style of Qigong. And I think this is one of the things that, well, certainly I've benefited from in martial arts over the years. That when I first started martial art training, it's very much you have to do this style, you can't do any other style. Mm-hmm. And some schools are very good at limiting, yeah, the cross pollination, yeah, or a broader understanding is another way of looking at it, yeah. So if you think about the breadth of your knowledge when you're learning from the Jingling Qigong and the Shaolin Cosmos Qigong as well, you've got a very broad knowledge because this is going back like thousands of years of practices. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter if you practice another style of Qigong because this can be integrated into what you already know. Yeah, so you don't have to get rid of what you already know. You can bring this in. So you don't have to limit yourself on just one style of Qigong. And from my experience, it's much better off not limiting yourself just to one approach, yeah, because there's a huge broad approach and understanding. The other thing is that if you're already practicing some kind of health, well-being, or fitness, Pilates, martial arts, dance, or yoga, then this fits really well into adding something extra to your classes. Yeah, if you want to bring something in fresh, like the relaxation techniques of Qigong, yeah, the mindful movement of Qigong, yeah, the meditation that's in the Qigong, the energy flow aspect, the health benefits of the Qigong as well, and the spiritual cultivation, if that's where you want to go with it as well. It's such a broad umbrella of training, so you can bring something new and exciting into your class as well. And I think that's worth mentioning because people are like, yeah, I don't know how Qigong works. Well, as a yoga teacher, as a martial arts teacher, as a therapist, as a Qigong teacher, I can tell you now that it works across all of these things, yeah, really well. It's very, very, very simply. And that's what John and I are going to share with you as well. It's like, how do you integrate it into what you already know? Yeah.
Tim, other than just sort of basic Qigong classes, who else have you taught? Because I think we've both got an amazing array of other places that we've taken the Qigong to.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Qigong is you can take it into anywhere. So luckily I've used Qigong as like a passport around the world. I've actually taken it into different countries, taught it in Malaysia where I learned it from as well, and then taught it in Europe. I've taken it into businesses. I've taken it into schools. That's just been fantastic, actually, seeing the children do the Qigong and their eyes lighten up. But that's another story. The universities, I've taught it at the universities as well. I teach it online. I've taught it in London. I've taught it in person. I've taught it on workshops. I've taught it in retreats and retreat centers. That's the amazing thing about the Qigong is the versatility of it. And when you look at the array of the students that we have as well, you know, you've got people that are doctors, scientists, in metaphysics, you've got people that are working in the industries, you've got farmers, you've got psychologists. Anybody can practice the Qigong. So yeah, it's quite amazing actually when you think about it. How about you, John? What was like the either like the best or the strangest place that you've practiced Qigong or taught Qigong?
I think the one that I bore everyone around is when I was asked to go and use Qigong as a teaching method to train the Saudi military in leadership techniques.
Right.
And working in a strict Islamic state with a with a system that could potentially be considered either magical or anti-Islamic, and neither of those end well in Saudi Arabia. Finding the techniques to still teach those systems and see the benefits that come out of them, I think is amazing, because you then realize that Qigong isn't just something for Qigong practitioners.
So John, by taking this course, what are you going to get as a qualification?
Okay, well, it splits into two parts. So the core training, which is the foundation, means that anybody from any style of Qigong can get a qualification in teaching Qigong. What we're trying to do here, or what we're working on, is developing the highest possible level of qualification that we can in the area of teaching Qigong. And it will have academic rigor. It will be something that you're tested on, that there is proof of, and it will be a really strong building block for your career as a Qigong teacher. Now, moving from the qualification, it's important that people have a practice to teach. And so we also offer the specialization. So whether your specialization is Shaolin Cosmos, which is Tim's passion, whether it's Janeng, which is my passion, we can actually train you into those systems so that you can be a fully accredited teacher of those systems. Now, it doesn't need to stop there, because we are also looking at running additional training so that you can train in multiple aspects of those systems, that you can also maybe train into working with people with specific conditions. So working with people with Parkinson's, working with people with strokes. We can do a whole range of specialist training. And because we're working in conjunction with the university, we've got access to some amazing lecturers, some amazing understanding, some people who will get involved with the training, will get involved with the course. So you're not just learning from Tim and I. There's a whole team of people that will step into the training as you go through and as you move forward. And so you could be working with experts in herbal medicine, you could be working with experts in Chinese language, you can be working with all these types of people as additional modules within the training. So this isn't just a learn one style of Qigong course. This is create a really powerful foundation to teach from and choose your specializations so that you can become a really well-rounded teacher. Sorry, I got all passionate there. I just love this project.
No. This is so John, if somebody's doing the core training, at what point will they be able to start teaching?
Okay, this is always an interesting question. My personal feeling is that you should be able to go out and start teaching really, really quickly, because there's no better way of learning to teach than actually teaching. But it's important that you're teaching in a safe manner and you're teaching in a way that is supportive of the people that you're working with. So on the course, we will get you to teach from quite early on, but actually your accreditation, the point at which we say we believe that you are a safe, authentic teacher of Qigong, could take a variable amount of time. Now, over the last decade, we've been running these types of teacher trainings. And what we found is that some people can go through the training very, very quickly because they've got a really solid foundation in what they're doing. They've got a really clear idea of where they're going. But other people will come into the training and they suddenly discover there's whole things that they hadn't really considered around Qigong that take time to integrate. They take time to become comfortable with. So the longest time I think anyone's taken for accreditation through the previous is about 5 years. Most people, I would say, a year to 18 months. Probably 18 months is about the normal time scale from the time you start a teacher training to the time that you can actually go out there and start really teaching as a standalone Qigong teacher. But the bit I'd like to add is that it doesn't matter, because all the time you are working with us, we are there supporting you. We're there helping you move forward. So through the mentoring phases, through the ways that we can support you ourselves, through the peer learning, through the community that is being built in this area, there is constant support for you in teaching. So the short answer to your question, how long can you expect to become fully accredited? I don't know. It's down to you. And it's down to your experience, but we will have you out there teaching very quickly and we will support you all the way.
Right, and somebody can take this course in two parts as well if they wanted to. They could just take the core, and at a core level, you would become a foundation Qigong teacher. Yeah, which means that you're teaching the foundation parts, not the specialist parts, but the foundation of Qigong. And you can take that into places. You can take that into schools, maybe. You can take that into workplaces. You can take that into individuals and classes and set up your own class. This is foundation Qigong training. But that's only going to get you so far. Yeah. So the idea then is, okay, you can start teaching here, but you're going to continue your journey into specialist training. And as you continue that journey, you can imagine that you've got your core teacher training qualification already. So you're going out there and you're practicing how to be a good teacher. And so the time you get to specialist and you've done specialist training, you've already elevated your skill as a Qigong teacher. So you can start teaching quite early on, but you continue your journey through our specialist training, and you're going to get more and more skillful as you get to that top end. So the time you're ready to teach that specialist training, you've got all of this time and understanding at that foundation level, and then you become a much stronger, competent and confident teacher. And that's what we want. Yeah, we want people to go out there and be really happy and confident and comfortable and safe in teaching what it is that we're sharing and passing on as well, to have a full understanding of this. So yeah, as John says, the time might be 3 months, yeah, at the core level, but really this is a journey. Yeah, this is a journey. And even when you get to the specialist time of the training, you may then branch off into other areas, whether or not that's through the Jingming or the Shining Cosmos Qigong or the joint courses that John and I will be teaching you, into specialist areas so that you can take that into a particular mode. So this is the important bit, yeah. We don't want people to be carbon copies of John and I, a Qigong teacher. Everybody brings something of their own. So when you start to become a Qigong teacher, we want you to become that unique Qigong teacher. And that puts you uniquely into the marketplace as you. There's no one else like you, yeah? You don't want to become another generic online necessarily Qigong teacher, yeah? That just fits into a system where you can't be free, where you can't be you, where you don't have a necessarily deep understanding of how to bring these Qigong skills into everything that you do. And that's the point that John and I really want to help you with, is for you to be able to have this Qigong as fully your Qigong, yeah, and you can take that anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's probably worth adding as well that if you've already studied Qigong and you've got that level of Kung Fu, you've got that level of ability, that they're saying, right, you should go out and teach, and you're going, but I don't know how to, or I feel as if I'm lacking the skills. That process through the core training, and it kind of doesn't matter what your style of Qigong is, that will still elevate you, that will still enable you to move forward, and it will create the freedom that Tim's talking about, so that you're not necessarily feeling as if you're constrained by one single approach. You can dip into other perspectives, you can dip into other strands that exist around Qigong, and use that to really enrich your teaching. Different audiences need different information, and having a really good toolbox to teach with is the most important thing, and that's what we offer, a really good toolbox.
What next? If you want to take this Qigong teacher training, then get in touch with us online. We'll put the details below for you, and you'll be able to ask us questions or book yourself straight onto this course or one of the other foundation or entry point courses that we'll be teaching at that time. But either way, get in touch, and so we can start this journey for you. We both look forward to seeing you and you joining us for these courses.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what time of year, there's always something you can step into. Every year we'll have a teachers weekend. So if the teachers weekend comes up before the start of the course, come and join us on a teachers weekend. Come and meet the people who've been in the training, and spend time with people who are considering coming on the training. Figure out if it's for you. If it starts at the beginning of the course, give us a ring. We're always happy to talk.
Thank you very much.